In this episode, we are talking about TV shows, sequels, and loving the process. All right. Well, we are back with another episode of the Do Things Podcast. I am your host, as always, Todd Frazier, and we're making a video version of this. If you're watching this on YouTube, welcome to the Do Things Podcast. I'm Todd Frazier, and you've seen from my YouTube videos. And if you're listening to this, you can go check it out on YouTube if you want to see how animated and amplified I get when I talk about these things, so you can get a mental picture. Maybe you don't want to do that. I don't know. Whether or not you do or you don't, it's on YouTube, youtube.com/Todd Frazier Do Things. And that's where we're doing lots of stuff where when I tell you guys in the podcast that we'll get more content coming on YouTube, this is where it's going to be, right here. So without further ado, let's get into the episode. So something I love to do, it's my escapism, my entertainment that I really like to get into is I love television shows. And one of my favorites of all time, well, I've got a few favorites. One is still running, but one of my favorites of all time is Friends. If you're a Friends lover, hit me in the comments or message me or whatever, because it's literally one of the best. My wife and I we still watch that show to this day, and it just puts a smile on our face. It puts us in a place where we're just enjoying the content, the entertainment. It's an escape from reality, and just to enjoy Rachel and Chandler and Joey and Ross and Monica and Phoebe and all the crew, and just it's just funny. It's just really, really funny, and we enjoy it. Actually, so my wife and I, we've been together for over 20 years now. We've been married for 16, but when we were dating and I went off to school to play football, I was 2,000 miles away, and Friends, we were like in the thick of Friends, and this is before the days of Netflix and DVR. So all you young kids, like, you don't even know what this is about to actually how we did this. But we would hit on the VCR when Friends would come on. We'd hit record, but we would turn the TV off, so we didn't see it live. We just recorded the episode, and then later that evening, she would call me or I would call her, and we would be on the phone, and we'd sit in our houses. My dorm room in Missouri and her house here in California, and we would say, okay, ready, go, and we'd hit play at the same time, and we would watch the episode. We wouldn't be talking. I mean, every once in a while we would, but we just sat there and we enjoyed the TV show together, and then we'd laugh about it and whatever. And that's it. It's super sweet and lame and cheesy as that sounds, it was awesome. And from a relationship standpoint, we had a connection with a show that we both really, really liked, and we were able to do that from long distance. So that plays a big part in our relationship and just the things that we talk about and the things we communicate about. And the show Friends is really, really awesome. It's still one of the most watched TV shows of all time because it's really great. And I love that. And I love the continuing saga of it. Another one we both really got into was Lost. I don't know if you got into Lost, but it was one of the plane crashes on a desert island and they're trying to get rescued. And this whole show is the back and forth on what's going on. There's these mystic things happening on the island. And then Charlie's got the fake peanut butter for Claire, the pregnant single mom. And it was a show about people, and it was intriguing, and you didn't know what was going to happen. And every week we tuned in, just like with Friends, every week we tuned in to see what was going to happen next. What was the next part of the show that we were going to get to see? What was the story that was going to get put out? What character were we going to connect with that week? Was it going to be Sawyer? Was it going to be John Locke? Were we going to find out why he's walking now? And if you haven't seen any of these shows, you need to go check them out. Find some time, go check out Friends, go check out Lost, because they're really, really great shows. And you can continually watch them forever and ever and ever. Now, the biggest difference for me between Friends and Lost that I found really interesting is Friends, I can watch all those episodes. It doesn't matter if I've seen it 100 times. I can go watch it again, and I love it. And I still laugh at the same parts. When the fridge breaks and Joey is sitting there in the chair, Chandler walks in and says, "What are you doing?" And Joey says, "The fridge broke, so I had to eat all the food." I laugh every time. Doesn't matter. I always laugh. I know it's coming. I know the joke, and still, every time it gets me. Then with Lost, as you're watching and the season progresses and it gets interesting and it pulls you in, at some point it starts to get really like weird. Like some of the stuff doesn't start to make sense, and it gets really sci-fi and kind of like Tammy kind of got done with it before I did, but I wanted to see through the end. I wanted to get to all the way to the end of the show itself and see what happened and get the result, get the goal. I wanted them to get rescued and then Jack and Kate to get back together and Sawyer to find his whatever, all of that stuff. And then you get to the very last episode with Lost. I went all the way through it. Some episodes were amazing, and some episodes were like, why did we watch that? It was really not that great. But I still wanted to hear the story. I wanted to get to the end. So you get to the final episode of Lost, and okay, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Lost and you don't want to know the ending, then just skip forward about 30 seconds so you miss this part. But at the very end of Lost, the very last episode, so the first episode, it comes and it zooms out from Jack's eye, the main character. It zooms out, and then you see this big landscape of the crash. At the very last episode, it goes from wide and zooms all the way into his eye, and it turns out the whole time he's been dead and they've been in purgatory, and that's the end of the show, which is one of the options we all knew was possible. We all knew that was possible. But when the end happened and the show finished and the credits were rolling, I turned to Tammy and I said, really? That's it? That's the end? That's the summation of this 6 years of television that we've been watching and wanting to know what was going to happen? It was just basically a dream? Oh, so disappointing. And I think if you've watched it, you may share a similar feeling about like, man, what a bummer, what a letdown of an ending. But I think, as I think about that, and I think, well, if they had been rescued and their life would have gone on and it ended, I still would have been like super bummed because it's over. I think it was more disappointing, not the actual ending, but the fact that the show was finished. The show was over. There were no more episodes to watch. There was no more story to hear. And I think that was, as I'm thinking back through that, that's really, I think what happened is I just enjoyed the story. Whether it was a good episode or a bad episode, I didn't really care. I wanted to watch it and see what happened. In Friends, it's the same thing. In my opinion, they're all good episodes, but every episode, I just enjoy it all the way to the end, even at the end of Friends. Now, there was an end to Friends in the final season, and they all kind of go their separate ways. Yes, Joey had a spinoff and tried to keep going, and how you doing? You know, I mean, like he tried to keep going. It just didn't work. It wasn't Friends. It didn't have all the components that made Friends so great. But it ended, and there was still that feeling of, oh, bummer, that's over. Like, the series was done. Now, I still go back and watch the series because I love all the episodes. I don't go back with Lost as much because of the progression of the storyline. I think was a little bit different because you found out these things. If I watched it back again and I saw the number in the second episode of the lottery winning and I would put a lot of things together, they'd be like, oh, that makes so much sense. But at the same time, the episodes are what we were excited about. The ending isn't so much what we were interested in. We were, every week, the anticipation, the excitement of the next show coming and the next show coming and the next show coming, and then the end result, and it's like it's over. There's no more show to watch. Now, my most favorite show of all the shows in the world that is still running and hopefully runs forever is a show called Survivor. I don't know if you've ever heard of it or if you've watched it. Hopefully you have. If you haven't, you need to go back and check it out because it's a really epic show. It's a reality TV game show where you put 18 to 20 people on an island. They have to create their own society. It's really a human experiment. But every year, I'm excited because there's a new season with new castaways. Sometimes there's returners, but there's new castaways, there's new contestants, and they're all trying to get to the end goal of being the sole survivor and getting at the end $1 million, which if I ever get a chance to get on that show, which I would love to do, that would be super epic. To win would be the ultimate goal, obviously, but to be part of the process would be epic. Anyway, so Survivor is one of those things where it's not over. It's been going on for 36, about to start its 37th season here in a few weeks, but it keeps going. And the reason I like to go back to it because it's the episodes keep coming. The storyline is different, but the episodes keep coming. There hasn't been an end to Survivor. The process is going on. The episodes are still continuing. You still get a storyline that's along the same lines as it's always been. It's changing a little bit, but it's still going on, and I get excited every week to watch it. Whereas with those other shows, the season eventually it ended and it was over. And when you get to the goal and you're like, oh, now what? Guess I better find something else to watch or something else to do. But whatever, that when you get to the end of those shows, it was very disappointing because the season was over. There were no more episodes to actually watch and get after. And as I look at that, I think, that's kind of similar with movies. Like movies, we know it's going to be 2 to 3 hours, unless it's like Lord of the Rings and it's 4 hours or something. And it gets to an end and it's over, and then the movie's finished and it's done. The story's done. But then there's the sequel. Then there's the second one, Mission Impossible 17, right? There is another version of the story. It's a sequel, and we want to go back to that because we want to see where the story goes. We want to see if it continues and how they can keep going with having an end in mind, but it keeps going. So sequels to a movie are intriguing to us because they're the continuation of a previous story with a different angle or some sort of different part of it that makes that sequel. It's a continuation, but it's different and it's new, but it also has an end. And I think if you think about that from a life perspective and you have a goal or an idea or a thing you want to do and you're going to start that process, when you get to the end and you get to your goal, are you going to be like, oh, well, now what? Well, I finished, or I got this, or I did this, or I made this happen. Now what? You see, if you're doing something for the end goal and along the way you aren't enjoying the process, you aren't loving the process, then there's a chance that when you get to the end, you're just going to be disappointed because it's going to be over. Now, maybe the process isn't something you're enjoying, and then when you get to that goal, it means you get to start a new process, which, again, I think is what it's all about. The point of this whole episode, I think, is to illustrate the fact that I believe that the process is what it's actually all about. Us going about our day and working towards a goal, it gives us a reason to do the process. But if you're not enjoying the process, or at least parts of the process, because like with all of the episodes of Lost, there was 1 or 2 or 3 every season that I was just like, oh, this is horrible. This is the worst episode I've ever seen, but I still watched it because it was part of the process. Just like when you have a process and you're getting towards a goal, you're going to an end, there is a process that goes along with it, and there's going to be parts of that process that you don't like or you don't want to do, but you have to do because it's part of the process. So if you keep your mental focus on the fact that the process is what it's actually all about. The goal is the end and where you're getting to, but the process that's the part where all the magic happens. That's the stuff that you get to enjoy. That's the stuff you get to experience along the way. And if you can't stop and enjoy that and really take in what the process is, then you're going to get to the end and you'll be like, man, now what? I didn't enjoy the process. I'm bummed that the end is here. Now what? I guess I need another process. Guys, my point is, don't give up on something because the process is hard or there's sections of a process that you don't like, because the process is what it's all about. Our life is a process. It is something that we step through day in and day out, and eventually we're going to get to a place where it's not necessarily the end, but it's going to pivot and change into what the next process is. The process, guys, is what it's all about. You got to love the process, or at least the parts of the process that are lovable, because when you get to the end, there's a chance you're going to be disappointed and sit around and be like, now what? Now what am I going to do? It's over. It's done. I need a new process. You guys love the process, just like we like TV shows that are continuous and never end because the process keeps going. And we like sequels because it's the same story that we really enjoyed before and it's just another version of it. When we get to the end, sometimes we get disappointed. We feel like, man, what? Ugh, really? That's it? It's over? Guess I need a new process. Guys, love the process. Get into a process that you really, really enjoy. I enjoy creating content. I enjoy meeting people. I enjoy creating relationships, and I enjoy communicating from stage or from the internet. I enjoy those things. Those are part of my process day in, day out. I don't know that this part's ever going to change. This is the stuff that I really love doing. I don't know that this is ever going to change. And I'm glad about that because the process is what it's all about. If I had some big goal of saying I want to make $100 million and then sit on my butt, I'm going to probably get pretty bored. So therefore, I don't want to make $100 million. I mean, if somebody wants to give me some money, that's fine with me. I don't care. But my point is, the process is what I'm loving, and I am digging this and all of the stuff that goes along with it, because that's really what you're doing. You're in a process every day trying to get somewhere, but you're in a process. And if you can't enjoy the process, if you can't sit back and say, this is really great that I have the opportunity to do this, even if it's not the best every day or every piece of the process, you guys, you're in a process. Get to the part where you like it. Get to the mindset where you can say, this process is really what it's all about. I love the process. I can't wait for the next episode. And when I get to the end, I'm going to be bummed, but you know what? That means I get to start a new process. All right. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. That makes sense to me. That's how I picture all of this stuff, as everything that I'm doing, all the things that I'm creating, whether it be the apparel company or the podcast or the YouTube videos or the speaking engagements or the tax clients or the consulting clients or whatever those things are, or hanging out with my family, going on a walk with my son, taking my kids to the beach, all of those things that I really enjoy doing, that's part of the process. Every day is the process. You guys love the process. It doesn't always have great things every day, all the time. There are hard things. You have to do them. You have to get through hard spots. But the process is the magic, okay? You got it now? Are you feeling me? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? All right, okay. That's what we're talking about. You got to love the process, and it's all about the process. That is the message. Do things, take action, and enjoy the process. Enjoy the ride, guys. Until next time, I'm Todd Frazier. This is the Do Things Podcast. Get out there, make it happen. You're a miracle and meant to do amazing things. I don't care what anybody says. Got it. Dig me? You got to start somewhere. Might as well start today. Make it happen. We'll see you on the next episode. Guys, if you like that episode, consider subscribing. Share it with your friends to either the YouTube channel or on the podcast, anywhere you listen to podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Anchor.fm, any place where you listen to podcasts, the Do Things Podcast is there. If you wouldn't mind giving us a review, letting us know how we're doing. Feedback, again, even though it's not always helpful, feedback is something that we need to be able to get better at the things that we're doing. And so any feedback you have for us on this would be extremely helpful. If you want to know what's going on with me or the things that I'm doing next, go to FrazierMethod.com and you can see all kinds of stuff there. Hit me up on any social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. What am I missing? LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. I mean, I'm there. YouTube, you name it, I'm there. T Frazier SoCal, pretty much on every platform. And that's it. I can't wait to see you on the next episode because I love this process. See ya. Peace out. Peace. Later.